would call as a very, very deep water table. All of that has been in a way put on hold, and I think that is the great dismay of the thinking Turkey.
Just one second, Ambassador Karji is shaking your head.
I was basically saying that this Turkey, which Uday is speaking about, is really Ataturk's creation.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what, in a sense, what the Prime Minister and the party is representing is the old Turkey.
Is the Ottoman
Is the
Empire.
old Islamic Turkey, which was very authoritarian,
Right.
which prescribed social mores. So that is the cleavage within Turkey.
Absolutely.
Which has come to the
All
surface.
right. I'll come back to you, Rashmi, in just a bit. When we return from this short break, we shall also look at the regional implications of the developments in Turkey. Stay with us. Welcome back to Insight. We are discussing the situation in Turkey. Rashmi, I'll continue with you. We're speaking about personal freedoms being under attack in Turkey. Also, the media there, you know, it's surprising how the developments there have made news everywhere around the world except in Turkey.
Yes, in fact, they started, while these protests were happening, the television channels were showing some nature documentary in the Antarctica. In fact, there were two motifs which went up during the protest. One was Mustafa Kemal Ataturk as the hero who has been reborn and claimed by the youth, and the other motive is that of a penguin, about whom this documentary was. And what is horrifying, and his party, is also this, you know, almost Woodstock kind of an environment at the protest demos. You have these guitars and you have this drumming and singing till wee hours of the morning, and Reuters even splashed a photograph of youngsters practicing yoga and doing Surya Namaskar, you know. So that would have been very horrifying for the regime out there. And what has happened, to fill this media void, the mainstream media void, what has happened is the social media has come in full force. In fact, Erdogan commented that Twitter is a menace and social media is an evil, things like that.
Many have turned to Twitter now.
Twitter, yeah, and Twitter has this interesting video app called Vine, you know, where you can post photographs on a small feed, and that's what has been happening, and it's going viral. And Turkcell has denied it, that it's saying the access is on, but that is more of a government version. So this is the kind of social media becomes, you know, I mean, 72 hours of video is uploaded on YouTube per minute. You can't put edit control on this kind of a content, you know, inventory. It's not possible to have an edit control on this kind of an edit of output. And the reason why people have gone there is because Turkish has a very hostile regime towards media. Reporters Without Borders, which is a media watchdog, it reports that Turkey jails more journalists than any other country. It's the largest prison for journalists anywhere in the world, larger than China. So it has a very repressive record for journalists, and it also uses, how does it ensure self-censorship of the media? I'll give this. There was this interesting study. The main group over there, Dogan Group, it was slapped 3.2 billion in tax claims, which was more than the value of the assets of the company. So if you're faced with these kind of hostilities, you can't have freedom.
Right.
And so the media also, the mainstream media, backs off. So in spite of 300 channels and news media outlets, you did not see any reportage of this, but that was more than compensated by the activist role of the social media.
Absolutely. And now the protest Ottoman Empire sort of foreign policy. Is that a fair assessment?
Before I come to that, permit me to sketch for you what I see, as I see the situation. If you think 67 was a major year, in the sense that the forces of Islamic nationalism, especially Arab nationalism, were defeated by the Israelis, and they retreated, and that got a enormous churning. Now this combined in 1973 with the starting of the oil price hike. So the forces of conservative Islam, and I'm using conservative in its widest sense, because conservative Islam embraces an entire spectrum of Islamic theology, gained strength. Now for the last 40 years, they, if I may use that term, into a corner. And that has been seen in country after country. This is different from a quest for democratic aspiration. It is, and these forces of political Islam are saying that democracy and Islam can coexist. now for the first time in this for the entire region. Second, we talk of Arab Spring. That was a quest for democracy.
Right.
But secular forces did not take advantage. In Tahrir Square, there may have been some secular elements,
Right.
but it was the forces of political Islam which have swept the Arab world.
Right.
Now we'll have to see what happens within the wider Muslim world.
Right. Komru Bhaskar?
If I could just add to that, I think on one hand, while we are seeing what you might call as the first phase, which is what you're seeing in Istanbul, and the way in which the younger generation, I think, is protesting what they see as the authoritarian regime and the excessive use of police force and all of that, but that is also representative of a much larger kind of protest against what the Justice Party is trying to impose. But my own sense is that over the next week, if you look at yesterday's statement when Mr. Erdogan came back from his tour to Tunisia and he was in Ankara, he actually is encouraging his own support base to, in a way, meet the what he's now described as the looters, and he's used some, shall we say, very derogatory phrases about the so-called protesters. My reading is that we are now going to see a contestation which, alas, may not be very different from what we saw in Bangladesh. If you look at our own region over the last year, there has been a similar kind of what you might call as a protest and the way in which the state has used its own machinery.
Right.
And I think that is the unfortunate part in terms of the way in which Turkey is going to play out.
Discussion here. I'd like to thank all my guests for coming to the studios, Ambassador Vivek Kaju, Commodore Uday Bhaskar and Rashmi Singh. It was a pleasure having you all here. That's it for now in this edition of Insight. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.